And you heard it right here on Baze Radio. That is Umva by Elsy Wameyo, bringing us to 3 minutes past 10. Good morning and welcome to the AM. It is nothing but vibes, good music, and great conversation. And I told you we have an amazing guest who's in studio today, and I'm so honored to be in the presence of greatness and so much talent. So Baze Radio, before I tell you who is on this other side of the microphone.
And now, make some noise! Turn up your radios.
That's what you're on about!
For our Baze Radio guest. Stay tuned.
Baze Radio, make some noise for Elsy.
That has to be the best intro I've ever gotten. I can't lie.
Period. Goodness. How are you, Mama?
I'm amazing. How are you doing?
I'm amazing. It's nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you.
It's very crazy. Like, we've never actually met in person.
Yes.
But I just love that, from the minute that I've said hello to you, the energy has just been very synergetic.
Wow.
The energy is synergy.
That's profound. I appreciate that.
No,
Likewise.
You're such a ball of energy, and I love that you're glowing inside and out. It's evident.
You gotta catch the sun,
It's evident. Actually,
Appreciate it.
What's that about? Is that a thing that you do on a normal? So I have to give context, right? So guys, and I was going to say hi to Elsy. Normally, all the guests will be inside in the sitting bay. Elsy was outside catching some sun, melanin, elevation.
Yeah.
So listen, I need to understand, what's that about?
I feel like, especially as artists, we spend a lot of time inside.
It's very true.
But I feel like there's so much that happens once the sun hits your skin. Like there's a lot of rejuvenation, and I don't know, I feel like it's just necessary. Like I don't see any negatives in standing in the sun. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I feel like I just needed to soak it up and get my vitamin D and start the day on a good note.
Makes sense. But the real question is, girl, how much is your sunscreen budget in a month?
Do you know what? Actually, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. It is expensive, but it's so necessary.
Girl.
Yeah. Do you know what? I get some from my mum though.
Oh,
my mum's
really?
very big on, if you see her skin, stunning.
No.
Yeah. So I just take her sunscreen.
Must be nice. But Elsy Wameyo, first of all, allow me to say that I think you are absolutely talented.
Thank you.
And I love the fact that I don't want to say genre because that's boxing you,
Right.
but the kind of sound that you're into right now is very multi-diverse in the sense that you can pick different sounds and you make them sound like you. For example, Umva is a very different vibe, and as we go, we'll be listening to your first album. This is Saint Sinner, and the different sounds that are in there, because there's some Afrofusion, there's a bit of hip hop, there's a bit of soul. It's
everything.
It's a pinch of everything, but you kind of make it work. And my question is, when you're putting together such a body of work, how do you go about it? How do you go about selection of what works in this project, what works in the next one? How do you go about it?
I feel when it comes to the music itself, I feel like it almost kind of just finds its way. But I think that only happens because of the foundation prior.
Okay.
So if you ask the people that have worked with me, I'm very picky, very specific. And so prior to even making the music, we had many sit-downs, many conversations. I had a document written about Saint Sinner, which had my thoughts, my quotes, my everything just that I would think of, or how I felt about what Saint Sinner was, from, family to the music to everything in between. And so everyone had a real large context on what the album was outside of the music. So I think then, because of that, coming to now make the music, we're all kind of working from the same pipeline, and you kind of know the purpose, the reasons. And I mean, you also have conversations at the bottom of the document. Actually, I had written, Elsy loves trumpets, Elsy loves sonics and this and that. And so everyone was kind of creating from one mind. And even though we have, you've got your rap and you've got your soul and your Afro, it was all different genres, but under the same umbrella, coming from the same mind. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the conversation has just gotten started. We have barely scratched the surface.
Don't make me
So
swear.
yes, guys, we have Elsy Wameyo in studio. If you don't know about her, you're definitely about to get to know her. Of course, the only way to do that is if you stay tuned to Baze Radio. We're still deep in the AM, and we're getting to listen to her album Saint Sinner, first of its kind. And by the way, yes, we are still getting deeper and deeper into it. And coming right up next is Sinner, playing right here on Baze Radio. That is Sulwe by Elsy Wameyo, straight out of her album Saint a Sinner, and you heard it right here on Baze Radio. And of course, she is in studio.
Nah, this is vibes. I can't lie.
Girl, I told you, I brings the heat. And actually, I was reading the press release for your album, and it says that you actually do produce some of your tracks by yourself.
Yeah.
And I needed to understand, when it comes to an artist being an artist and a producer and fusing both of them, especially on such a crucial project, how does that... Please walk me through that process.
I mean, so Nilotic, actually going backwards, Nilotic was the project that I produced.
Self-produced?
Yeah,
all of them?
self-produced, yeah. And honestly, it's liberating, it's freedom. I mean, for me personally, the reason I produced myself was because I had sounds in my head and I could never get someone else to
put them out.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Exactly how I heard it. And so for so many years, I worked with this amazing producer who was, insanely talented. And in my mind, I'm like, if you're that talented,
you
surely,
should.
right?
Yeah,
But it just got to a point where I just found I was like not getting what I wanted. And so actually it was during COVID, the lockdown. I'm at home and I got a studio, and actually the first agenda was for me to record vocals and send to him so that he can produce tracks and stuff.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I was like, girl,
nah,
buy Ableton and start producing right here. So I got Ableton, and I actually didn't even purchase it. Like, I just got like I think you get like a 3-month trial thing. So I was in a 3-month trial and I just started pressing buttons. Like, it was just experiment. Like, it was honestly just experimentation. But because I had like the knowledge from like sitting and watching behind him, I think I had like a vibe, or like I kind of understood how it went. But I think by the time I started playing the keys and playing the chords and sampling, now Nilotic, you'll hear my cousin in there, he'll come and do ad-libs. It just gave me so much freedom, and I just felt like this was like the most authentic I have ever been, because I wasn't being filtered through another person's artistry or like another person's thought. So yeah, for me, it's just freedom and liberation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, firsts are very scary. And this being your first album officially, how, like, were you scared putting out such a body of work? Do you doubt, sometimes after you're done doing something and you think this is the first of a first?
Yeah.
Fear, please walk me. What's going through your mind before you were like, you know what, this body of work is done.
It is what it is.
It's going out. Okay, it's going out.
I feel like through the process, there's always question marks at all times, and that honestly for me is mainly on the side of, it's not the trend, it's not the sound that everyone's dancing to, it's not what your ears are, usually tickled with. So I feel like when I'm doing something like Sinner, my mind goes, when I'm making it, a part of me is very excited. And I'm like, cool, this is my authentic self. This is what I want to say. Yeah. But then once it's done and like everyone's listening to it and you're watching everyone's reaction and you're like, oh,
they're feeling it.
Is this a hit or a miss type of thing? So I think it's kind of just the world and its pressures and how it makes you feel, especially when, you're in this kind of like game, I guess, and in this industry, you want to be on top, you want to get the plays and all of that stuff. So that's where I think I'd say most of my question marks come from. But I think it's never ending. It's always going to be a tug and pull. And there are times where I'm like, yeah, this is my album. Say what you want, you know what I'm saying? But there's definitely times where I go, oh, okay, I think maybe the next round, you get me? Like maybe let's do this next time, let's do this next time. But I feel the more and more that I walk the journey, I realize that at the end of it, it's always just best to stick to what you want, because you have to live with that at the end of the day. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, I just have to be me, man.
Damn.
Yeah, damn.
Oh my gosh, you honestly, I just love the way you really know how to express yourself, and you're standing on business when it comes to your music. I love that. Well, guys, we're about to listen to more Saint Sinner, but when we get back, of course, I think we have to talk a little bit about hip hop. So
chill.
So you get to enjoy more tracks. This is Quagmire playing right here on Baze Radio. That is Lair. Hello Max is on the feature, and yes, you heard it, by my girl Elsy Wameyo. And yes, she's right here in studio as we're listening to Saint Sinner. This is her first album project ever. So you understand, this is very crucial, guys. And of course, we're going to deep dive into all of it as we go. And speaking of, so you had mentioned you were born in Kenya,
Yes.
but moved to Australia for a little while.
For a long while.
Okay, for a little while.
Yeah.
Then came back. So
Yeah.
you're currently back and you're doing your music thing and good stuff.
Yeah.
But my question is, first of all, fusing two different cultures into one, and also what's the significance of making sure that you're musically you still stand out in as much as you're fusing two different cultures?
Yeah, do you know, that's a beautiful question. I feel like, if anything, I've tried to run away from it, in the sense of living in Australia as a Kenyan. You're the other.
Of course,
so,
automatically.
You know what I'm saying? So for a long time, I never really fit in outside of the music. But now when I came to music, I found that I was naturally creating so many things. Yeah. And over there, everyone's got their typical indie or rock. But I was just so used to, like we're talking about, like rumba, hip hop. I've just heard so much. So I think for a long time, I was trying to go against it, because I remember trying to find my sound, and I was like, what's Elsy?
What exactly?
Who's Elsy? What's the sound? But it honestly wasn't until maybe a few years into like professionally making music that I was like, I have the upper hand. Like, these people can't do what I do. Like, y'all can't sing and rap. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't until that kind of profound revelation that I decided to run with it. And I think now I'm a bit more intentional with how I'm attacking my sounds and the genres that I'm using, and I'm a bit more experimental, and I'm trying to include things that I wouldn't naturally think, people would hear, like kind of crossing. We were talking about rumba, maybe like you've never heard like rumba and like R&B maybe, or something like that. So it's like I'm just trying to find ways to cross different sounds, you know what I'm saying? And I think you hear the album and you kind of you get where I'm coming from.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think I'm just trying to use my skills to the best of my ability, and showcase that I can't just rap, but I can sing as well, and I can give you a little.
Like you're very multifaceted, which is a beautiful thing.
I'll give you a spoken word in the middle. So it's I'm just enjoying. I'm enjoying just creating.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on top of that, specifically also, I want us to talk about co-signing when it comes to hip hop. So from the press release that I read, it was very clear you have co-signs from the likes of Tyler, the Creator.
Yeah.
We listen, if you're a hip hop head like me, you know that.
Yeah.
That is a big deal. And I just wanted to understand, in comparison to back then, when being co-signed was like, if somebody says like, yeah, I'm giving this person a blue, let's even go too far. Let's talk like Young Money days. They put a co-sign
Young Money is
Nicki
my days.
Minaj.
Come on.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
As compared to now, where we have artists who are very independent and they do music however they want to.
Yeah.
So what's the weight of getting a co-sign from an artist who you consider to be absolutely top?
Do you know what? That's actually, I love that you brought YMTMB, because I feel like, that's where my hip hop kind of era started from subconsciously.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I think even just that co-sign of like Nicki amongst just
all those
male hip hop heads,
yes,
like was so profound and it's so G. So now I feel like the reason I feel like maybe the weight has almost just come down a little bit is because the market is just so thick now.
True.
Like back then with Nicki, there wasn't anyone that was really kind of giving her a run for her money.
Honestly.
There was no competition.
True.
But now you've got so many rappers that are females that are killing it. So I feel like it's just up to the artist, truly, and I feel like for me, someone like Tyler, funny enough, actually, I hadn't listened to him. I had never really listened or like paid attention to his music until when we performed together. And I think it was after I saw the show that I was like, oh, wow. And I remember watching an interview and he was talking about how he tends to literally just go on YouTube and try and find like really cool
sounds,
people. Yeah. And I think once you have someone that respects the art beyond the numbers and beyond, what the industry kind of tells you, I feel like that's where the weight comes from. So for me, I feel like it's really just a level of respect that's not judged by the industry.
External
like your
factors.
Because there's so many cats out there that are so dope that would receive like really dope cosigns. But you might even find like on the other side, people won't say anything because
Just
they don't have the
because,
numbers.
yeah.
Do you know that thing on TikTok? Like if you're scrolling, you see a really funny video
And
it's
zero
got 0
likes.
likes. So you
Yes.
just like, it's exactly that. So I feel like we choose who to give weight to. And unfortunately, it's like a lot of the times with artists, our industry and our career lies in everyone else's hands but our own. So yeah, I don't know. Music is ghetto. It's very ghetto. But we love Tyler in this.
True. No, he's dope.
Yeah.
No, but we're still talking, and I think after this we need to talk about a little bit about touring, and also just the overview of the whole album. But of course, we're still listening as we go. Coming right up is Seller by Elsy Wameyo, straight from the album Saint Sinner. That is an absolutely beautiful ballad. That is Slowly Sipping by Elsy Wameyo, straight out of her album Saint Sinner, baby. And you heard it right here on Baze Radio. Hey, mama.
Hi.
You're good?
I'm amazing, as always.
Ooh-wee.
Energy in here is buzzing, so
Period.
can't complain.
Let it be known. Let it be known. But yes, well, I still have like 99 million questions, but I think there are two specific questions that I want to fuse into one. So starting off with your, again, straight from your press release, where it's very clear and it's mentioned that your time in Australia was fruitful, but the pruning side of it was very painful.
Yeah.
And I think I'd want you to talk more about that.
Cool.
And specifically, when you said you had a toxic touring period, I also want to understand what's the difference in artist handling or management when it comes to touring, especially in Africa, in contrast to Europe. So tell us what you've experienced, and yeah, just please walk us through all of that.
Man, okay. Well, I mean, Australia, right? So growing up in Australia, my music started over there and everything, and the blessings are that government, that country, let's just say the country as a whole, they value arts. So it's very easy to come and be like, I want to do music, because they can be like, oh, you want to do music? Cool. Da, 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 da. So for me, I'm so grateful to Australia on that part, because honestly, if it wasn't for like even just like the financing, because I've got a lot of grants from governments, I've got a lot of support from them that I could never deny, you know what I'm saying? And I really, really thank God for that. But now I think the downside is most times you almost have to play by their cards. And if you go against it,
It becomes a problem.
yeah, it's like a side eye, like, oh, you want to do that? You know what I'm saying? And even just like on a listening kind of audience perspective, over there, like they're not used to Sigala Gala and Luo and all these things.
Yeah.
So like if you try and do something just different, most times they'll just look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah.
So I feel like you almost just feel like you're just boxed into this little thing, and as much as they're like, do you know what, we're going to support you, but you're almost having to play by these rules.
Yeah.
And so I feel like just on that side of things, you're having to be shaped in a way that naturally you're not flourishing, you know what I'm saying? So that was kind of the pruning that I felt was a bit tough, because you want to grow one way and you push the other side. And now going into touring, I did the Nilotic tour. I did a support tour, Arena National in Australia, alongside good friends of mine, Hilltop Hoods. And then I did a theatre show, and I was on the stage doing the whole thing. Loved it. Yeah. The 3 tours back to back, first time touring as well, was not healthy.
I can imagine.
It was not healthy. And I remember I got to a point, I wasn't even sleeping in my bed. Like I would travel, across like the outskirts of Adelaide, come back home, pack, fly out to Melbourne, come back home, pack, fly out to Sydney, come back home. So I remember there was this one day, this is when I knew it was cooked. I got at home, I think it was like 3 a.m. or something like that. I literally looked at my bed and I'm like, I'm going to lay here for 1-2 hours, because I have a 6 a.m. flight to catch. I have to wake up by 4 to get to the airport. Yeah. And that was when I clocked. I was like, this is not it, man. Like, it was just a lot. And I think now on top of that, because, Nilotic had come out, Elsy was hitting, I felt like I was just a commodity in a way. Like, people were just calling me places for their own intentions. And it's a weird like coin thing though, because obviously on one side you want to market the music, you want to be on top of it, but
and on the other side it has to make sense.
I'm very sensitive, so I think at times I just felt like there's some spaces I could just tell like I'm only here to fill a box or to just do the thing, and at times you don't even have this conversation when they're like, oh, like truly tell me like where you're coming from. So I just feel like I was losing a lot from what I had created, especially, you know, from the way that I work. It's from substance and it's my life and it's my journey. So you would want people to treat it with care. And I feel at that time it wasn't. So I ran away. I got on a flight and I went to London and I said, guys, I'm over it. Bye. So yeah, I literally just went to London and I was like, do you know what? I think I just need a refresh, a restart, a breather. Went over there for about a month and yeah, just spent some time in my own mind, in my own space. I didn't see anyone. I didn't talk to anyone. And yeah, that was actually now kind of the beginning of Saint Sinner, actually. Subconsciously, I didn't know, but a lot of my journal entries came from that time. But yeah, I mean, I think this is exactly what Saint Sinner is. There's always the good and there's always the bad. So you kind of just have to tackle it all and
pick your poison.
Pick your poison and run with it.
Okay. Whew, that was something else.
It's
but
a lot,
yes,
man.
we are still in conversation with Elsy. We're also listening to the Saint Sinner album. And of course, we're about to get to the end of it. And yeah, we still have a lot of conversation to go. But yep, right up next is Pinlara, played right here on Baze Radio. That is Wonder Horns, and you heard it right here on Baze Radio. Good morning, and welcome to the AM. Of course, you are hanging with me, Maria, all the way till 12 in the PM. We are still deep in conversation with the main girl, Elsy Wameyo. Hey.
What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good?
Easily. We
You
just
track?
we just made a bob. That's a bob. Oh, Lord, Elsy. First of all, again, allow me to just say thank you for being such an easy sport. It's so easy
I
to
got
talk
you,
to
girl. I got you.
I love that you know how to express yourself and that you're very, you stand 10 toes and 10 fingers down, bro.
I'm telling you, man, cannot move this ship. Don't test her.
Oh my, but as we
got
come
you.
to the end of our so amazing conversation, there's one question that I always ask every guest who comes, especially for artists. Mind, body, soul. I want to understand, for Elsy in particular, what are some of the things that you do to make sure that your mind, your body, and your soul are nourished?
I'm going to start crying.
Okay, other than sitting in the sun, other than that, what else do you do?
Oh,
Okay,
man.
let's start with mind.
Do you know what? I feel like first I have to step out of the body to speak to me because I'm right now like not doing the best.
Okay.
I know that. Okay, let me answer the question, right? So mind, I would say, man, I try to do things like spontaneously that are outside of the music sometimes. Actually, I'm just remembering yesterday after church, I was like to the guys, do you guys want to go to Giraffe Center? Just see some giraffes.
I will tell you a story about that once we get off.
So I feel like I naturally maybe will just lean to doing things outside of the music spontaneously, but I'm so congested in music that I honestly do forget to do that. Actually, the other day on my calendar, I wrote rest. I think it was last week, Wednesday, because I got to a point where my mind was
Overwhelmed.
like, bro, it's bad, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that great. So yeah, I feel like I could do better, but that I would say, to answer the question, that's what I would do. It's always just the most spontaneous. I love like going for walks and, like you were saying, sitting out in the sun, going to eat, of course, and kind of just trying to do things outside to kind of free the mind and not be kind of locked up in a studio, like a room or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about body?
Body, whew. Do you know what? I want to say workout, but I know so many people that if they're listening and they'll be like, girl, when and where? I feel for me, working out is a seasonal thing.
Okay.
So I'll work out if I've got a tour coming up, which is not smart. It should be consistent.
Listen, I feel you on that one, by the way. Till
not that bad, right?
when something needs to be achieved, that's the time
Then we're going to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Till then, yes, what ifs.
Yeah, so I feel like working out, but I mean, at this point, for my body, I want to say it is, like the other day, I actually just took a walk. I had gone for a meeting and my auntie's house was just like around the corner, like a 20-minute walk. And I just, I told myself, you know what, let me talk to God and go for a walk. So I just get the body moving, because we tend to just stay indoors,
Honestly.
and sit in front of a computer and just
lounge.
And you know what I'm saying?
Literally.
Yeah. So it's just get it moving anyhow, anywhere.
And it's very vital that you've just said that you talk to God. So for soul, it's very safe
Yeah.
to say that you pray a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
It's honestly, I feel like a lot for me is conversation. Especially where I'm at right now spiritually. I will say that I'm weak. I'm very weak. And I was actually just messaging a friend yesterday. I was like, pray for me, man, because I don't have that strength, you know?
Yeah.
So I did, I have been for a while just kind of talking. Like even yesterday when I was walking, I remember walking past people and I was like, these people think I'm crazy, man. Because if you walk past me, I'll just be talking to myself. But it really is just conversation, which is prayer anyway, at the end of the day. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just trying to realign.
Nice.
Yeah.
But I have to give you a tip. If you want to talk to yourself as you're walking, just put on a mask.
True.
Just put on it, girl, slap it on the face and keep talking to yourself. You look less crazy.
You know what? I don't know. Get people intrigued. Get people questioning. Get them to look at you.
Oh, goodness. Oh, my Elsy. This was nice. But before we conclude, I got to let these guys know that Saint Sinner is officially available on every DSP. Run those numbers.
Come on.
Watch them videos on the tube.
Come on.
And of course, get to follow Elsy on social media. By the way, before we start giving out handles, Nini. Last question. So as guys listen to Saint Sinner, what do you want them to take from this body of work?
Unfortunately, I don't think I can tell them what to take.
Okay.
Going back to God, I feel like the best way I could say it's almost like people who give their lives to God. You can't go to church and the pastor gives your life to God, if that makes sense, right? Like that's the work of the Holy Spirit.
Facts.
And so that Saint Sinner, as we made it, is very much so infused with God and the Holy Spirit, and we released very good energy in there. And for me, all I'd say is listen to it with an open mind and an open heart. And allow the Spirit to do the work. Because I've done my part. I've given you the music, but I can't force you to take
feed
anything.
into it.
You know what I'm
Very
saying?
true.
Yeah. So I feel I was saying to someone the other week, actually, this album for me, I've taken everything that I require from that camp. There's nothing more that I need from it, and that's why I'm able to just freely give it to the world. But just as I did, it really was a point of allowing God to do what He needed to do, because I can't do that for myself and no one could do that for me. So listen to it, have fun with it, enjoy it, but listen deeply and allow the Spirit to guide you in what to get from it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wait. Elsy, where can we find you on socials? Any shows you have coming up? Let us
we're
know.
on tour,
Plug us.
We're on tour at the moment. So I mean, all of my shows, and people are going to attack me, all of my shows right now in Europe.
Outside the 254.
Yeah, but you know what? We can all go.
Listen.
Right? Like, why can't we just go?
I was actually going to tell you to do this. Put a thingy like Elsy Wameyo live. It doesn't have to be a big thing.
Okay.
Just make your own niche thing. Let guys come, experience your music, have a good time. Boom.
We should.
That's your own tour in 254. If you think about it.
True. No, I'm really kind of thinking and planning on how we can experience as a people, because the love coming from Nairobi is insane.
Like,
it's so insane, and it's so warm, and it's so like you just feel like, okay, cool, like these are my people.
Yeah.
So I definitely have to line up something. But for now, we'll be on tour in Europe, going back to Australia at the end of the year.
Okay.
And yeah, find me everywhere, man. Elsy Wameyo, ELSY.
Not
if
IE.
you write IE, you're gonna have to fight, because it's a SY, not SIE. ELSY WAMEYO.
There you go.
Yeah.
On every social platform. Elsy, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And as we conclude, it's my favorite tune. This is my fave from the album.
Plug 'em in.
This is a Conquer.
Plug 'em in.
Elsy Wameyo, you are at Tajiri, playing on Baze right after this.
This is Baze Radio.
We are 254 to the core.